Hello and welcome back to RC Icons. So in this video, some more two-wheel drive content. If you guys have been following the channel lately, you'll have seen the last 3 weeks of Wednesday roundups have been all two-wheel drive cars. We started with the RB5 from Kyosho, and then we went to the TRF 201 with 8mm extension, and then we moved on to the Tamiya DT02. So part of, it's not really a series, but in my mind I had done, the X-Ray B4, the DB01 Triple R. We did the Terra Scorcher, Terra Conqueror, and Hot Shot. We had done quite a variety of four-wheel drive cars, but we still haven't done quite, a lot of two-wheel drive. David had driven the Hornet. We did a couple with the Dynablaster, which I still need to kind of sort out. We also did the ZX Kyosho Laser ZX, which was four-wheel drive, and we did the Losi Triple X4. So I know there's a lot of people that are very into four-wheel drive, a lot of people that are very into two-wheel drive. Two very different styles of buggy, and trying to keep it somewhat balanced. The next one on the list is an RC10. So not a 6-gear original. I don't even own, I think, a 6-gear original RC10. I have the 40th anniversary that's still yet to be built. But the only RC10 that I really have in the collection, short of the Worlds, is the Championship Edition, which I believe is Stealth. You guys can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I believe the Championship Edition was a Stealth Gearbox RC10 gold pan. And that's the only original gold pan I have in the collection. I do have a TQ10. It's actually sitting in storage. But this video is to try to get RC10 together for the track. So in front of me, you can see my original Worlds, which I built on the channel last year. Still have to put the roll pin in the Stealth transmission. If you guys watched that video, you'll remember that I found the roll pin for the Stealth transmission laying in the box after I finished the video and finished the car. So I still need to break that open at some point and get that roll pin set in. But this is an original RC10 Worlds, never driven, new built on the channel, whatever it was last year, and then this is the box for it. But you'll remember a year and a half ago, again, if you're long-term followers of the channel, I had brought in a bunch of RC10 parts to build up an RC10 Graphite and or Grand Prix 3D Masami replica, either 89 or 91. At this point, Andrew is doing both the 89 and 91 chassis with front kick-up. He does a lot of, I think he's just kind of reselling Fan RC, Stealth transmission arms, all that kind of stuff. But I know he does all the chassis work for those replicas, as well as shock towers and anything that's specific to those years of RC10 where Masami won the 89 and 91 IFMARs, so that you can replicate those cars. If you're not familiar with Grand Prix 3D, go check Andrew out. He's in Australia. I'm actually looking forward to meeting him in person at the Vintage Bash 3.0. But 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, I don't remember, I had brought in a bunch of parts for basically that, as well as building up an RC10 Graphite, and I have those parts here. So original Viper body, I forget which one this one is. It's not the Viper, but this is an original Viper body for when I do that. But this is more so just to kind of show you all of the parts that I have. So that's a front end with shocks and rear end with shocks. So bulkheads, the whole 9 yards. Rear arms and arm mounts, battery tray, tubes, front arm and arm mounts. Another set of original shocks. Now they're the gold shocks, not the hard anodized shocks. Another set of, looks like front arms. Although these front arms are different to these ones. Those are rear arms. Those are rear. These are front. So I have tons. The point of this is I've got tons of parts. Stealth transmission with the original slipper clutch. Motor guard. I had bought a ton of parts at one point to do some of these projects. Original spotlights and wing buttons. Original bell crank. Rods. Original wheels. And again, some of this stuff is more for this project at some point, which is an original graphite chassis. Like I said, I have the TQ, which is the Horizon Hobby version, but this is the regular version. So I've got all of these parts, right? Original wheel set for the graphite. But along with this, I ended up picking up this box over here. So I'm going to toss all these back in. I don't even think I need any of these parts, to be honest, but we'll find out when we start. So in this box, in the process of looking for that, I came across this. So this, I believe, these are all new impact parts. I'm not sure if these are J Concepts or JC Racing wheels, but there's tons of wheels here, brand new. But this is essentially what I believe to be a full World's Car rere. Nose plate, gear cover, brand new arms. This is all hardware, arm mounts. There's arms in here, the black arms, battery tray, the hard anodized shocks are in there, and then front and rear shock towers. These look like they're done in potentially FRP. And then there's, I think, carbon ones in here. So what I'd like to do to try to get an RC10 runner is, I'm pretty sure with this box I can put together the rere version of the World's Car as a runner. So you guys, I'll even put this body on it, I don't care. But you guys will be able to see me run the track. I still have the original body set for this car. This was a body I had bought on eBay. It looks great, but I really want to do the Kinwald drip livery. I know that you're going to say that is the Kinwald drip livery. I want to do it in the fluorescent yellow. More like what you would see potentially on like a B2 or something. But anyways, I digress. I want to get runner World's Car built, mimicking this essentially for the track. I would never run the original, just value wise. I paid a fortune for the original kit, and then I threw at least half of that money away when I built it. That's RC, that's how it goes. But I think I can build this without using any of this, which is essentially set aside for the carbon project, as well as an RC 3D Masami car. Now, whether that's 89 or the 91 still remains to be seen. Maybe I end up doing both, I'm not sure. I probably wouldn't do both. I would probably do one or the other. I just don't know which one at this point. The parts are just there because this all happened before RC10 or Associated decided to do a 40th anniversary run of everything they've ever produced. I mean, at this point they did the classic clear kit, they did the 6.4, which I actually bought and built, probably the only person in the world. They did the 40th Gold Pan kit. They've done the RC10T. They've done the DS. And they've done the YZ10. So in a matter of 7 months, they've done whatever, 7 cars. So these parts weren't necessarily as available as they are now. And then throw Fan RC into the mix as well. Now, they were making parts long before the 40th anniversary stuff started coming out. Fan RC's been out for a long time. And we all thank you, Fan RC, and hopefully nothing happens with Associated in the future as far as them potentially coming after you. You did what we all needed you to do, which was recreate these parts, and we thank you for it. And hopefully there's no repercussions because of it. I think Associated would be shooting themselves in the foot, to be honest, because I would be pissed. There's a reason why we don't show Traxxas on this channel. So that's the point of the video. I'm going to get this cleared up, and we're going to get started. I'm going to put this off to the side. I've got I built this with a rere manual, so I have the manual I need. We're going to break these parts out, kind of lay them out, take a look at what we have, and we're going to try to build a car. Hopefully we can, with what's in, essentially, these 3 bags. And we'll go from there. There should be a transmission in here somewhere. There is right here. Self-transmission. Motor plate. So I don't know if it's all going to be original Associated stuff. Some of it might be hop-up, J Concepts, this, that, the other thing. But I don't care. It's a runner. I'm just looking to have some fun. And I've never driven an RC10, 6-gear, or stealth. So for me, it should be a good time. I have a history with the RC10, and I've said on this channel a few times that they're not a car that I typically go after or like, and it's because of a kid that I grew up with who was just a pompous ass who constantly was bashing all of my Tamias as a kid growing up, and his RC10 was the best. And he was exactly right, you know what I mean? But he flaunted it so much and bragged about it so much that I ended up hating the car. And still to this day, don't have a draw or a love for it because of my childhood. So I'm hoping that running the car might change that for me. And I don't mean any disrespect to anyone who loves RC10s. It's got nothing to do with the car. It's got nothing to do with the company. It has to do with the jackass I grew up with. So let me get started, and I'll bring you back as I kind of am figuring this out. I don't know what direction this video is going to go. That's just me being honest. So I'll see you back here in a second with hopefully something. Alright, so just to give you guys an idea, I know this isn't a view that you're used to with my channel, but so we have hard anodized rere shocks. You can tell because they've got the threaded shock collars, preload collars. Looks like extra front springs there, black, silver. Looks like the ones that are on there are blue. We've got 2 carbon towers, 2 graphite towers. These look more like the original shape. Obviously, that is still something that can work, but clearly aftermarket. We have our black arms bulkhead, rear bulkhead. You can tell it's the rere because it's got 9 hole positions versus I think 3 in the original. Stealth transmission. I don't know if this was drilled or if that came like that, if that might be a J Concepts motor guard. We have the diff, gear cover, hinge pin mounts, front and rear. We've got a couple different sets of steering arms, although I have new ones in this pile here as well as arms. 2 sets of turnbuckles. We've got pins, 3 different alloy belt cranks. I've actually got a set on already. And then some miscellaneous hardware, although a lot of this stuff has hardware still in it. So we should have what we need to build the car, which is good without touching that box down there. So I've gotten started here with basically step 1 and 2, which is getting the nose plate body mount on. I'm not sure if that's the correct color body mount, because that did come in the other box. I didn't have a body mount in this pile that came with this car. These aluminum bell cranks did come with this lot, and they match what's going on up here. There's a blue set and a black set up there. And then looks like JC Racing mounts, you know, for the top. Screws are in. It's already christened. So looks like some of these holes were countersunk from whoever owned it before, which is fine. Chassis definitely has more holes in it than it should. I've got my 1-to-1 here. I'm gonna get started putting the front hinge pin mounts onto the shock tower and get that in place. This looks to me like it's graphite. Looks to me like whoever had the car before put these aftermarket ones on. I'm gonna put the original ones on. They're absolutely brand new. Never been used. So I'll bring you back as I'm putting this together. I think this whole car was like, it was listed as like a lot, but I paid, it was under 200, and it's essentially an entire rere worlds. So I thought that was a decent deal. So I'm going to keep moving forward, and I'll bring you back in a bit with a little bit more of the car done. All right, it's actually been a couple weeks since that last segment, believe it or not. So I was working on the front end, and one of my steering arms, or uprights, front uprights, I guess people call it 100 different things, was broken. And although I had a bunch in the bag, they're the original style, and I really wanted to keep it rere. So I'm not sure if my original Worlds has this style on it or not, or if it's the original style that has, it's like a hex end that fits in there versus it being round with a set screw that comes from the back that grabs the hinge pin. So I needed to order a couple. Got some on eBay. Needed to get shipped from Florida to me. Fast forward, whatever, 10 days, and they finally came in. So I just finished with, it would be bag B, step 3, essentially. So the arms are in place now. Front shock tower is in place now. In the meantime, while I was waiting for those off camera, I did break the slipper clutch and the diff apart and the stealth transmission. Now, I'm not getting too crazy with like trying to clean plastics because I'm building this to be a runner. I don't have any RC10 runners. I only have RC10 shelf clean. So although I'll clean like the ball diff and reassemble it, I'm not getting crazy with trying to whiten plastics or really get it, you know, ultra clean. These parts are pretty well clean already, and so are these. It's just really that transmission case that's kind of covered in gunk. I really don't feel like spending the time to like put it in ultrasonic cleaner or anything like that. I just want to move forward with building it. So the next step, now that the front end is together, sorry, I'm not used to holding a camera, and I hope I'm not making you sick, but we're going to start getting the ball diff together. Right, pretty standard stuff. And then we'll be building the stealth transmission, motor plate, slipper clutch. So I'm going to get at least that together. And then I'll probably bring you back, show you the transmission, and then we'll start getting that rear shock tower together and kind of getting it all put on the car. So I'll see you in a second here with a stealth transmission and kind of a rear shock tower, rear bulkhead coming together. All right, so diff is built, stealth transmission is put together, slipper clutch done. It says that, and this, I'm not flipping you off, but it says 1 millimeter of thread sticking out the bolt for a stock setup. I have 2mm bolt. I like my slippers tight. I also like my diffs tight. Now I don't really know how to set up a car for like racing, but I can't stand having to adjust cars in on the track. So now this is unlike most slippers. Most slippers, the spring is closer together. So on a slipper clutch, let's say for like a Tamiya slipper clutch, usually I'll bring the thing almost all the way tight and then back 3/4 of a turn. I don't know that that's necessary on this slipper, but I'll try it there, and I guess I'll just make sure I have the socket or the wrench for when I actually run the car. It drives me crazy to have to adjust that stuff in. And I know manuals are usually on the light side because of liability. They don't want you to go too tight on the slipper, and then you burn up the slipper, blow out gears, and then you're whining that you want new gears because they told you to go too tight on the slipper. So it is what it is. We'll see when we run it this Wednesday what happens. I say this Wednesday. I think it's going to be the Wednesday after you see the build video. So I'm going to get the rear shock tower together. It's the next step. And I got to get that mounted to the car before I can get the gearbox mounted to the car. So I'll bring you back when all of that is mounted. It should be starting to look like a car short of rear arms at that point. All right, rear ends together. Look at the upper body mount. These 5/16 440s I stole off shock collars on my other pile. These 2 screws, they're actually associated 8/32. I went with the new ones. So these ones were in the bag and they're hex stainless, but they stuck out. They stuck out off the chassis too far. These are associated, right? Probably not the exact same ones, but they are 8/32 by 1/2 inch, but the head is just a little bit different. So yeah, the rear end is on. That is a J Concepts motor guard, just so that you guys know. And then those are the diamond cut J Concepts wing tubes. And then the front braces are also the diamond cut J Concepts. So next step is rear hinge pin braces or hinge pin mounts and rear arms. And then UJs, which we have. Rear uprights, and then we'll be getting the rear end essentially to the car, and then we'll be building turnbuckles for the front and for the rear. So I will bring you back in a second here with turnbuckles on just before we, looks like steering arms potentially get built as well. Yeah, steering arms get built as well right there. So I'll bring you back before I start messing around with the hard anodized shocks. But we're getting there. I'm looking forward to running this thing. It's actually for $200. Not a bad car. It was a good buy. Can't go wrong there. Sometimes eBay works. I don't buy much on eBay anymore. It's got to be a killer deal just because buy is so much cheaper. But when it comes to associated and potentially low-C, you just don't find that on buy. That's not sitting in a Japanese market, sitting in an American market or a UK market. So yeah, I'm going to keep moving forward here, and I'll bring you back, like I said, just before we put the shocks together. All right. Sorry about the background noise. David has a bunch of friends over. But that's it. With all the uprights in place. Nice and free. Rear arms. UJs are in there. Feels nice. Front steering is essentially all set. I'm gonna have to adjust some of those. I can tell I couldn't really use the measurements on the sheet because I don't know if they're what is it, RIP ball ends. There was black and purple. I decided to go with the black just to keep it clean. So we're ready to start taking these apart. Now you can tell the rere hard anodized from the originals where the shock collar on the reres was threaded for the preload, where the originals had the screw type. It's one of the differences, and then obviously the slipper clutch is different. Those are the two biggest ways to identify a rere from an original. So yeah, J Concepts. I did say it was JC Racing. It's J Concepts, the steering bracket, and then the diamond cut wing mounts and front braces. Although it hasn't asked me to put the front braces in yet. I'm not sure if that happens after shocks. Yeah, happens after shocks. So those front braces go in. And then I gotta figure out what motor I'm putting in here. I don't have anything reedy. Oh, actually I do. You know what? My Ultima 2 has a reedy radon in it. I'm not sure what turn it is, but maybe we'll pop that out of that and put it in here just to keep it real. And then I showed you the bag of yellow wheels. I'm not sure yet on tires. I may actually put a pin rib spike tire, like the Dynastorm. I may throw a set of those on there just to try them. The rib tires on the other two-wheel drives seem to be doing the best. I know on the Sand Viper had the ribs, and so did the RB5, which is up there. It's not going to zoom in anymore. The RB5 was running ribs, and those seem to do better than like the staggered on a 201 staggered spike. So I got a set of 201 rib wheels right there, but that's got B5 front end on it. I got to figure out what's up with the front end. So some people are saying on the 201 you got to use the hop up weight in the front, and I actually have that. It's not in that car, it's in my 211, but that's a whole nother conversation. So yeah, you guys never saw like the rest of my temporary studio. I'm just in an open area. This is part of the new studio along with another, this times 4 more. So when my parents are in town, this is kind of where I hang out and work. It's a mess. My double X4, and then my Tommy. I think that one's going to Australia. The double X4 is, and my Evo, and a couple RT5s. MP9E, TRF 801. So yeah, we've got quite the array of cars down here right now. And then there's the original worlds hanging out down there. But I'll bring you back here with some shocks, and we'll keep pressing forward. All right, you guys can see my bench is an absolute mess, but the car is done. So, brand new set of yellow wheels with rib spike on the front, square block on the back. So Tamiya tires all the way around. Shocks have been rebuilt. Those are in place. We did a Yokomo stock 23 turn motor. So that's in there. Don't make fun of my Tamiya plug. I try to keep things simple for the boys, because they run quite a bit. So 1060 receiver, low profile servo. So we're going to run this body, which is my old championship edition body. And that's it. So I'm going to get this mess cleaned up for a closing. I'm debating whether or not to put the gear cover on for the first run, because the slipper is going to need to be adjusted, and I don't know that I feel like fiddling with that. And then I have to probably take the wing mount off of my Worlds or my championship car, because I don't have a wing mount for this wing. So I'm going to get this cleaned up and do a quick closing. And then the next time you guys see this car will be on the track. So that's it. It's done. Finally, an RC10 runner for me. I hope you guys enjoyed the build. I started out the build thinking that I had everything for the car. I was short one front upright because it was broken, so I needed to order that. I needed to get a couple of 440 screws, a couple of shock mounts, the little plastic mounts that go inside the shock, a body mount. I think that's it. Everything else I had, and then I ended up ordering a shock rebuild kit, although I did not use it yet. It's actually not even here yet, but I rebuilt the shocks with the stock parts, but I figured what the hell it was worth. Before you can't get it, I figured what the hell, bought it. It was like 23 bucks. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how this runs. It feels great, to be honest. It's just a matter of dialing in the slipper when we get it out. So I hope you guys enjoyed the build. That Yokomo motor feels nice in there. You'll have to let me know in the comments what you thought. Like I said, this is my first time running an RC10, so I'm really looking forward to the experience. I'm hoping it shifts my attitude towards them. I've said it a number of times on this channel that, you know, I've got a dark spot in my heart for the RC10 because of a kid I grew up with. And that's not fair to the car. Now, for the longest time, I didn't even have one. I wasn't interested in them, didn't want nothing to do with them. And then I was like, well, if I'm going to have a collection like I've got, I got to have at least one gold pan. So I bought a championship edition, which I believe is stealth transmission, not 6 gear. So until the 40th came out and I got one, that is the first 6 gear RC10 that I have in the collection. Now I've got the graphite that I'm going to build, which is a standard graphite. I've got the, what is it, the TQ10, which is the Horizon Hobby graphite. I've got that one as well. I've got the championship edition, and I've got my original Worlds. So this one being a runner is awesome because I can just have fun with it and I don't have to worry about it. Since Associated got their head out of their ass and decided to do some reres, now I've got the 6.4 clear, I've got the CC, the 40th, and an RC10T. I'll be honest, my hatred for them, not because of Associated or the car, is getting softer. It's getting softer. So we're going in the right direction. I'm hoping this just crests the hill and I can just put it away. You know, certain things when you're growing up, it just stays with you forever. And that's just one of them. It just really chaps my ass the way the kid was. But regardless, if you're not already a subscriber, I'd ask you to consider subscribing to support the channel. Also, you know, we're going to be running this for a Wednesday roundup this coming Wednesday. Today's a Saturday. This following Wednesday, you're going to see this car run. So make sure, if you're not already a subscriber, you subscribe so you don't miss the run. More so, for me, I'd rather see that video than the actual build. But seems like the running videos don't do as well. But whatever, it's not really for the views. It's more for me to get some of these cars out. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you enjoy that. Like, share, subscribe, thumbs up, thumbs down, all the typical YouTube jargon. Till next time, we'll see you soon. Thanks.